Hi, my name is Michaela and I'm going to run you through an analysis of an autobiography of an elite Australian athlete in reference to the sport development and sport delivery systems we have in place to help athletes achieve the best outcome they can acquire. So, sport development is the process involved to increase a person's or population's physical activity and ability in various sports at a community, state or national level. So this means that anybody may have natural ability, and with a little bit of sport development, a little bit of coaching and training, this can push their ability and help them achieve things at a higher level. Now, if you didn't want to go to a higher level, that's fine, but these things are still in place so that you can stay at that level. For example, social sport. If you just wanted to play socially, that's fine, you can keep doing that. So without a sport delivery system, the sport development wouldn't go very far. So a sport delivery system can be described as a range of agencies that combine, compete and contribute to the delivery of sport for all. These agencies and the competitions and services they deliver to participants are at whatever level they are able to achieve. So this means that sport and physical activity can be accessed and used by everyone in the nation. The systems are set up so that everyone from kids to adults can use these systems no matter their level of ability or participation. For example, sometimes bigger football clubs or cricket clubs will go into primary schools and they'll either volunteer or they can get some funding from the government to do so, and they'll teach them some simple catching and kicking skills, which has proven that it can influence students to play more sport outside of school and for a club in the community. Media as a sport delivery system can also help in advertising certain sports or events that are held, and also with advocacy for healthy living and exercise as well. So even if you're an adult, there are still opportunities for you to try out sports that you may or may not have played before. And there are also sporting teams and sport expos that you can go to have a look at these different sports. Social sporting teams are really good if you want to play a modified, shorter version of the sport, or if you want to stay outside from the rain, there are sports that can be played inside. And now if you did want to become serious or train to be an elite athlete, there are larger associations and clubs that can help you train and guide you to be the best that you can be and even represent the nation. So it's very important to examine and understand these systems because it enables us to review the level of delivery in the education, participation and performances of the participants and agencies in what the system they're providing. We can also look at the past systems that have been provided and recognise where they went wrong and if they did or didn't fulfil the needs that were set by the government or the community, to try and figure out what went wrong and how we can fix it. And we can also use these systems as a gauge to help us mould for the future generations of agencies and governing bodies in knowing how much funding they will need or education, or when they should intervene if levels of participation or fitness and performance decline. So the main beliefs behind these systems is that the better that they run and are organised and people participate in, the better outcome of the level of participation and succession these systems will have. So, if you look at it and you think, wow, if we should put a little bit more money into funding for the athletes, we might be able to get more gold medals, and that might have a positive impact on the community or the nation as a whole, and all in all, that will work out perfectly. So in relation to my PowerPoint, I'll be analysing the career of Cathy Freeman. She's my choice of Australian elite athlete. But next I'll show you the structure of the We've got the district and regional clubs. So for my example, I would say for soccer, this would be funded by the local government, which is here. And then once you move up to, say, you wanted to represent the state, play ACT or representative soccer, that would be organised by the state and other sporting organisations. Then you would have the AIS to help you out in that, and the funding would be coming from the state departments and recreation. And then if you wanted to represent Australia for that sport, soccer for instance, you'd have the AIS as well helping you sort of help, even though it's above there, they still help. And you've got the Australian Sports Commission governing that body. Once you get to the international level, you've got federations such as the Olympic Federation or the Commonwealth Federation as well. So over to Cathy Freeman. Her full name is Catherine Astrid Salome Freeman, and she was born on the 16th of February 1973 in a small town called Mackay, about 11 hours north of Brisbane. She lived in a housing commission with her family, and she has 3 brothers and a sister, but her sister unfortunately passed away from an asthma attack when Cathy was 27. She also suffered cerebral palsy and was put into care when Cathy was young too. This was one of Cathy's main reasons to compete and to run, because her sister was unable to do so, and she wanted to really prove that her ability could progress her to do so well. I've also chosen Cathy because I admire how many obstacles she had to overcome to get how far she did, and the love of running that Cathy has is really about expressing herself and the belief that she has in herself as well. And I love the fact that she never gave up no matter what. She always followed her dream and always chased that feeling of freedom through her running. Cathy has also used her success and fame to help others. She formed the Cathy Freeman Foundation, which helps increase the level of education for young Indigenous Australians. The biography I read was called Her Own Story by Cathy Freeman and Scott Gullen, published by Penguin Books in Victoria in 2003. So Cathy's sport development first really started when she won her athletics carnival at St. Joseph's when she was about 8. And Cathy's stepdad Bruce started training her outside of school hours on a dusty old 400-metre running track, and she used to run barefoot. So this was the very start of Cathy's sport development. But in terms of a system at the state level, it would have started when she was 15 in her boarding school, when she was trained a little bit more and given a little bit more responsibility and discipline to train and study, although she didn't like it. But they gave her proper equipment such as spikes, the running shoes, and a running uniform. And this helped her hold the state titles for high jump, 100 metres, 200 metres, and the 400 metre event. So I've got the state local structure here for her progression, which was training at school. And then as she worked her way up, she actually got a scholarship to go to a boarding school in Toowoomba. And the scholarship came from the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Commission, which she had to apply for because she didn't get any funding from any other government bodies. Unfortunately, this no longer exists, but lucky enough for her, she got it. And then so the scholarship enabled Cathy to get the proper equipment and coaching she required to progress in athletics. And the college's main focus is on sporting excellence and strives themselves to be the leading physical activity providers in Australia. So while she was there, she qualified to go to the World Junior Championships, and she didn't make it into her events, but she got selected to run in the 4x100 metre relays, and she won the gold medal with the team. which made her the first Australian Indigenous woman to make it to the Commonwealth Games, and that was in athletics as well. So in terms of the training at world class, working her way up through national and world class facilities, Cathy joined a running club called the Melbourne Track Club, and this was designed to facilitate a higher level of athleticism, and would have focused a lot more on the holistic approach of being an athlete, and having proper nutrition, sports psychology, mental wellness, and using the state-of-the-art technology and equipment to help her. Now, the Melbourne Track Club is privately funded, and it helped her to get to the Olympics in Barcelona, and she was only 18. But Cathy, she only made it into the second heat of that competition, but a few years later she won 2 gold medals at the Commonwealth Games, which was through the same guy who started training her anyway, from the Melbourne Track Club. The structure of this club sort of had to do a little bit of assuming myself. So you've got the main founder, and then an assistant accountant who also helped, and then underneath that you've got the trainers, coaches, and media liaison and athlete managers. Now underneath these would be the athletes themselves, and they would use the different techniques via these 3 main managers and disciplines to help them get into events and competitions and have the right equipment and all that kind of stuff to get them where they need to be. So another one of Cathy's sponsors, a major sponsor, was Nike. They have a lot of interest on top of the range technologies and equipment in sport, and they actually developed the Swift suit that Cathy famously wore at the 2000 Sydney Olympics. Now I've got here, so the achievements for Cathy, obviously when she was at school, she won and held state championships and awards, and then when she moved her way up, she made it to the World Junior Games, which is pretty awesome. I'd say that's a bit above average to me. And then of course she won various medals in the Olympic Games and Commonwealth Games. So here is Cathy when she first won the relay, the Indigenous flag, and there she is in the Nike suit where she won the 400 metre, the gold medal in the 400 metre race at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. So here's her top 10, or more than 10. Her career span really boomed from when she was 18 till she was about 26, and she stepped down and decided to stop running when she was about 30. So the autobiography doesn't explicitly mention any funding or sport development from the Australian Sports Commission or the Australian Institute of Sport, which there's a lot of information and structure about. Most of the funding and her development came through private or independent funding from her various sponsors such as Oakley, Schweppes, Telstra, Channel 7, which also would have helped with travel, accommodation, and paying for her trainers and using equipment and whatnot. But all in all, I think that it's a really good thing to have these the sport development and the sport delivery systems in place so that anyone from any level can participate and feel a part of something, whether it's for social or to progress into an elite athlete. And I think that it's great that the government is funding these programs and setting these programs up. if anything, it's sad to see when there is a change of government how the structures might change or the amount of funding might change altogether. And that's it. Thank you for your time.